If your child is currently displaying any kind of problem behaviors, it can be difficult to know how to help them change. As kids grow and mature, they need to become more self-aware and capable of making changes. So helping your child make these changes can be difficult, but really rewarding. I'm going to share with you some lessons in this video about how to do this, just based on my own experience, both as a psychologist, but also as a father. So let's get started. Hey, this is Dr. Todd. Today we're going to talk about how to change your child's behavior, what works and what doesn't work. So first, to help your child change a negative or unhealthy behavior, you have to be a credible parent. You have to have high expectations about appropriate behaviors. So let's talk for a minute about what it means to be a credible parent. The other day, I was talking with my son about one of his friends, and this friend is failing every class in school, and he actually almost hardly ever goes to school. He just doesn't want to go, so he doesn't. And I think he sits home and plays video games and watches TV. So this is a boy, by the way, who comes from a really sweet, very loving family. I know the parents. Like, if my son told me he wasn't in the mood to go to school, he'd still be going to school. I just don't see how this is an option. At any rate, Valerie spoke up and said she had remembered an instance with this boy many years ago when he was little. He was just a little kid, and they were at our house for a pool party. It was a birthday pool party. And all the boys had spent the afternoon eating cake and swimming in the backyard pool, and eventually it was time for the party to be over. But this boy wasn't going to have it. He wanted to keep swimming. His mom started, asking him really nicely to please get out of the pool. The party was ending, and she kept asking, and she was very nice about it. And eventually, all the parents had gathered their kids, and everybody had left. And there's this kid. He's still swimming in our pool, and his mom is still asking him. It's probably been 20 minutes now, and he just continued to ignore her. And finally, because my wife really needed to close the pool down, she firmly said, "Charlie, get out of the pool right now." And he got right out. And that's what being credible is. Credibility means that your kids know that you mean what you say, that you mean business. You can't ask or even hope to help your kids make changes if you don't have credibility as a parent. So credibility means you have high expectations, like in this case, that your kids are going to do what you ask them to do, that ignoring you is not an option. And actually, if they do ignore you, it'll bring worse consequences. This is so important that I've developed an entire course on how to be a credible parent. But suffice it to say, you have to mean business. So once you've established credibility as a parent, you just also need to know that change for kids is hard. Change for anybody is hard, all right? I think it's important that while you have high expectations, you also have to be willing to work with your child a lot. You have to be patient, you have to be kind, and you have to model for them what you're wanting them to change. So for example, a lot of kids nowadays struggle with emotional regulation. They get angry, they get anxious, they're depressed. And yet, in my experience, fewer and fewer kids seem to have the skills to deal with these kinds of feelings. I'm seeing more and more kids that are just overwhelmed all the time. So you might want to be teaching your kid how to regulate their emotions, but you sure as heck better be good at regulating your own emotions. I've actually known someone for years who yells, screams, and belittles her kids and her husband whenever they misbehave. And she'll call them names and she'll demand them to behave appropriately, all the while she's behaving so inappropriately herself. And this will never work for her. And if she wants her kids to change, it would actually make her so much more credible if she were able to model that change is possible. Thank you so much for watching this video. Are you struggling to communicate with your child or to discipline them effectively? None of us is handed a manual when our kids are born with all the rules and things to do and things not to do. And so we kind of have to wing it. We learn by trial and error. And this channel is all about using my system of correcting and connecting to build a strong, trusting, and influential relationship with your child. If that's the kind of thing you want to know more about, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share with any friends you think it would benefit. Now let's get back to the video. Let me share with you another example about how modeling change makes you a credible parent. I work with a mother who we're going to call her Kelly, and we'll call her daughter Sarah. And Sarah really struggled for years. She had poor self-esteem, she had poor social skills, and she was rejected a lot by her peers. She had a lot of traumas, and now Sarah is engaging in a lot of really unhealthy behaviors, self-harming, and she's severely depressed, and she's just not getting any better. And for many years, Kelly and Sarah's relationship was characterized with a lot of love, a lot of closeness, but also Sarah lied a lot. She would manipulate her. She was defiant a lot. And as things were getting worse, Kelly got a little bit desperate, and she started to do some soul searching, and she decided that she was going to do whatever she could do to change her life so that she could have more influence with her daughter. And so rather than just focusing on what she thought Sarah needed and what Sarah could do, Kelly decided that she was going to make some changes in herself. It had a profound impact. So Kelly decided that she was going to look at her own weaknesses, and she decided that she wanted to change her problem with anger. She recognized that she was easily angered and impatient. Kelly actually never liked this quality about herself, and now she decided she was going to make a change. So she got help, and it took many months of concerted effort and acknowledgement of what she was trying to do. It was just really a lot of work for her. But eventually I watched this weakness of hers, which had been impacting her relationship with her daughter and actually with most of her family. I watched this weakness become almost entirely eliminated. And to this day, it continues to have a really profound impact on her relationships with all of her kids. Another really simple way to help your kids with emotion regulation is just through connection, human connection. I'll give you a silly little example. My son hates school, and school is hard for him. It was hard for me, I can relate, it's hard for him. Sometimes I'll just spend my evenings sitting with him while he's doing his homework. There's no agenda, I'm not really saying a whole lot to him, we don't talk much, but I'll just be sitting next to him. He likes that. There's something about that sort of calms him. He's a physical kid, like he's a boy who likes to be hugged. And so every once in a while we're together in the evening and he's doing his homework, I'll just kind of reach over, I'll pat his back, I'll give him a quick hug. And he'll sometimes do the same thing to me. He'll reach over and literally he'll pat my back, or he'll come over and give me a hug. It's almost like when he gives me a hug, it's like you can feel it sort of regulate him. And there's just something about simple human connection between us that regulates his emotions and it calms him. I think it does for me too. So just remember, as you're trying to help your kids change, it's possible, but it's really difficult because it's difficult for all of us. And in order to help them make changes, be credible, establish high expectations of appropriate behaviors, but also be patient and flexible and kind as you work with them to make these changes. Remember that your emotional and physical connection with your child will give you the greatest influence as you help them make changes. And lastly, remember that what you model has more of an impact than anything you'll ever say. So if you model making changes in yourself, I promise you this will have a massive impact in your relationships with your kids and with everyone. Do you sometimes struggle to discipline your child effectively? Do they misbehave or act out or just leave you scratching your head wondering what to do or even how to reach them at all? I've spent the last 25 years as a clinical psychologist, and I work primarily with children, adolescents, young adults, and their families. And I've seen how these principles I teach have benefited my family personally and so many others. I want you and your family to have this too. That's why I've created this free ebook about how to discipline effectively. And believe me, it is not what you think. This will help you correct and connect with your child. It contains information from my 25 years as a psychologist, and it's designed to give you an understanding of effective parenting tools as well as practical steps you can take starting today. Just go to drtoddtalks.com, click the link in the video description below, give me your details, and I'll send it right over to you.